again for another episode of the Fresh Podcast. Go Fresh to Don. What's good with you?
What's happening, man? What's happening? It's time to talk about the have-nots, the kind of like the outcasts, black sheep, underdogs, you know.
Are you the black sheep of the family? Or who is the black sheep in your family?
That's a good question, man. I don't know who the black sheep would be. If anybody, I would probably say my brother. I'm one of my older brothers. He's probably more the black sheep just because he definitely walks to the beat of his own drum.
Right. I can relate. I like the same music. Yeah.
Bro, he go laugh when he see this, but and which we all do. But he's definitely a little
more the different.
Yeah,
as we say. Yeah. I can proudly say, and I'm sure everybody in my family would agree that the black sheep was the label on me in the family. Walked to the beat of my own drum. Didn't like authority from anybody. And it was very punishing to myself, but it was also something because I was so different. And I thought I was different. I just didn't realize I just wasn't the right people. You know, that'll make you feel very, very different. Being kind of like the black sheep or different is not always a bad thing.
Nah, not at all. And I tell my brother that, like, man, kind of just embrace who you are, because it's hard, bro, when you different, you know what I'm saying, than most. You feel, you know, some type of way because people don't really understand you. And when you misunderstood, you know, that's tough. And I can say
that's the worst.
Yeah, I've been misunderstood. I wouldn't say I was a black sheep, but I would say I'm kind of a underachiever. A late bloomer is what they would say. You know, a lot of things that, you know, people, the expectation that some of my family, I ain't gonna say all my family, but some of my family had for me when I was, you know, younger. It just took me a lot longer to achieve some of those things. But, you know, as they say, man, the tortoise won the race, man. So, you know,
no matter how fast you are, it really, especially the finish line in life, has nothing to do with how fast you can get. Like, that's actually the worst way.
Yeah.
Is to try to fast travel through life because you only get one.
You only get one. And a lot of times people burn out. You know, you might be in the lead, you know, early on, and then you burn out. And then, you know, I mean, you know, the whole tortoise and the hare thing, we know that story well. So I kind of feel like that, like I'm the tortoise in the family. But, you know, a lot of people have, and the thing is, what I learned, people's expectation of you, that's on them. That's not on you.
Nothing to do with you.
Nothing to do with you. But we feel that pressure, you know, whether it be your parents or, you know, your friends. Everybody has this expectation. They think, man, you're going to do this. You're going to do. I mean, you know, parents do it from the time you little. I remember being 5, 6 years old and my mother being like, oh, my baby going to be a doctor or he's going to be a lawyer.
Firefighter, astronaut.
Yeah. You like, man,
I ain't going to be none of those
I ain't about to be none of that. I'm about to be a rapper.
You know, and it's crazy, too, because, like, even back then, like, right, when we were, you know, younger, and I guess maybe it still exists today, like, it's like now, it's like, that's not a thing. You don't, necessarily people don't want to become firefighters or police officers or astronauts. But when I got older and realized that if I just implemented some of the things that I was so different in, people were like, dude, that's different. Different actually make good sometimes.
Yeah, so it could be a superpower.
Oh, goodness. To do something that somebody's never heard before or do something, all of a sudden you're different becomes very popular, which is how trends start.
Yep.
But back then versus even like now, I feel like everybody wants to be different, to be trendy, but it's not like naturally being different. We were just born different.
Yeah. And man, oh my God, and nothing irks my nerves more than somebody that's like, you just trying to be different, you know,
out of the way, right?
Yeah, trying to go out your way to be a weirdo. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, come on, bro. Like,
we were naturals.
If you naturally different, just be different. If that's who you are, you know what I'm saying? Like, and you look at the group like Outkast. You know, when they came on the scene, they was way different than anything you ever seen or heard before. But it was dope because you could tell it was them. You could just tell that it was organic.
Only them. Yeah.
But you got some people that's like going out their way to, it's because viral is a thing now, and everybody wants to go viral, and people will do anything by any means necessary to go viral. So it's like, come on, man, you just saying and you doing anything, and some of it you could just see right through. It's like, you're not different. You just you an idiot, you know,
with a lot of views and a lot of followers. But idiocracy can get you a lot more now, especially, you know, because we're such a fast-paced, you know, society. So it's almost like being an underdog now, like, even it's worse. Like, because if you don't put yourself out there, you know, back in the day, you could navigate through life different. Like, if you want to be in the face of anything. You have to be outrageous. You have to be this or super authentic. And that's one thing that as I've gotten older, I can't pretend. That's why like I'm a terrible actor. I can't really act like anything except myself. You know, and people are like, well, you're different. I am absolutely different. Being an underdog, I think sometimes is something we bring on ourselves too, right?
Yeah, because sometimes you feel like people owe you something, and then when you don't get that, and it's just like it's a form of entitlement. You feel like, man, I'm this, I'm that, and then, but it's also being an underdog. I think is a good thing if you utilize it right, because it puts like an extra chip on your shoulder. Outside of you just wanting to be good or to be successful at something, you want to prove other people wrong.
Right.
And that could be a good thing. For me, I don't use that type of energy, because I feel like, man, then it's not coming from a place, the right place. Like I want to do something for
Coming
me.
from somebody else, right?
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
It's a
yeah.
power that somebody gives you that can take away from you. Everybody supports you. You're not an underdog. You're the favorite.
But what I will say is, when I accomplish things on my life checklist, and it's always sweet, and it's not even to like rub it in anybody else's face, but you do, you take a moment and you kind of just think to yourself like, and I bet they thought I would never, and when you do that, like I'm sure with you owning your business, Creative Cut Media, I'm sure you may have told, maybe you didn't tell many people, but there's people that's known you most of your life that probably thought, nah, it'll never work.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I think a tons that still don't think that it worked. And it's still, as owning your own business or doing anything yourself, like, man, it's never just all good or all bad.
Ups and downs, valleys and peaks.
Yeah. And sometimes you get really good at first, man, capitalize and cash out.
Yep.
I think all creatives, man, struggle with being underdog and stuff because we do it to ourselves. And I remember I was challenged, and they were basically, what was said was, you do music because of me, because we do it together, but you're not capable of doing something by yourself. And shortly after, guess what come out?
Back to Life.
Back to Life,
Yeah.
which was by far the only song that people really know that, who know me are just like, dude, that came from a place that was not normal for me. It came from a place, and I proved what I had to say, and I said a lot, and even the person that actually said that actually rapped along with me. So the irony of all that, right?
Yeah.
And I even gave him the best part of the hook.
Hate it or love it, the underdog's on top. Sometimes, man, it's a sweet feeling, like, cause it's one thing when it's expected, like people can see and just say, yeah, he or she got it. And then you prove that you do got it, but it's different when you overlooked and nobody really sees the potential, and you the only person that see it, and then you make it come into fruition, and everybody's like, damn, like, man, we overlooked this person. We didn't know that we didn't know that,
And it's almost like, to me, I would rather be celebrated like that than I would somebody going, we expect for you to win by 10 points and me win by 20.
Yep.
I'd rather somebody think that I'm going to lose by 10 and win by 10.
Yeah.
It's like when we look at ourselves as an underdog and somebody else, we don't go, yeah, they're kind of a black sheep or underdog. We look at people as just being different, and I think especially now, just the labeling of people, right? Like the black sheep, man, being the black sheep of the family was a dirty word when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
So like when you take that in terms now, people are like, you're really just different. You're not really a black sheep. You're different for a reason or different for a cause, or you're doing it for something. But, being bullied, most people who are bullied are different, right? Not even something we can control different, because we look different, that we get treated different. And there is nothing better than an underdog or a black sheep success story.
Or what do they say, the ugly duckling? You remember that story?
Oh, I felt like the ugly duckling more than half my life.
It's a lot of people that I went to school with, grew up with, and like literally was the ugly duckling. A lot of females that was like not hitting on nothing in middle school, high school. Man, you see them 10 years later, you like, wow, the glow up is real. You know what I'm saying?
What did they say when they said their prime was in their high school? You ever see people who just peak?
Yep,
and
early.
then early. Like I remember people, bodies developing earlier. Like they were extremely smart or had the extreme crowd. And I thought, man, this really stinks. Like, why? Like, I can't fit in. I want to be funny. I do all these things to try to be like people I really want to be like, because I didn't really like them as people. So why was I struggling as a black sheep to seem normal? It's like a black sheep walking into a whole group of white sheep. Mm-hmm. No matter what I do, even if I lay down low, lay down sideways, even if I stand behind the sheep, I'm still the black sheep in a white group.
Yeah.
You know, whatever that, you know, I'm not saying the black and white thing, but just basically I'm an oddball.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I used to think, man, it just sucks. And now I'm just like, I say something, people are like, I never thought about that way. That's why I'm different. That's why you're different. Be different. Just don't be strange.
And then, like you said, people that hit they prime or they peak very early, and then you see them years later, and you like, man, life then took a toll on them. They washed up, they worn out, they you know, whatever, off drugs, and then they see you, and you was the one that was teased or overlooked, and then they like, wow, just to see they face, because it's, you know, it's an exchange when you see somebody like that. Like, I've seen people that I went to school with that was basically like the man in school, and now, man, you know, and not to shit on nobody's job or career or whatever, but they, you know, you can tell, you know, they're not happy, they're not where they want to be in life. They look like life then took its toll on them, and they see you, and you look like you're doing a little better than them, and they kind of got that look like, oh, what's up, bro? Like, you know, and all they can say is basically like, man, I'm proud of you, you know? And then and they got that look, even though you don't say anything to them to down them, they kind of got that look on their face like, man, I know I ain't what I used to be, like, you know, that's a bad feeling.
And that's hard because it's like being somebody popular is being somebody that's a favorite. And then ending, like, the other turnaround is way worse. So when somebody goes, man, it must have been really, nah, it didn't suck. I started out low and was able to progress to something better instead of being blessed with all these things. And then I'm 30 and I have anxiety and I don't know how to talk to people anymore. I don't have any friends. Nobody calls me. You know, and like you said, it's like you're dropped from fame or you're dropped from a certain position. You're around thousands of people all the time. People love you. And then all of a sudden you're isolated in the middle of a cabin. You're not the same person.
You're not. You know, they say that high school, what 50 Cent say, damn, homie, in high school, you was the man, homie. What happened to you? You know, like, hey, man, sometimes it's like that.
You're different, man. Be different. It's okay to be strange. It's okay. Just don't make it.
Not too strange, though.
Not too strange. Like, you know, at this point, we're all already strange. But, you know, if you're different, if you're an underdog, you know, if you can relate, tell us your story. You know, maybe you have a brother. You know, I have a brother who has a brother, which is me, who's always kind of been the underdog, has always been the black sheep of the family. Most of my peoples around me didn't expect much out of me. Like, that's just what it is. And all I had to do really was just a little bit, because their expectations a lot of times were pretty low.
And it always starts with you, you know, and you just got to, sometimes you just got to lock in and you be like, man, how can I become, you got to ask yourself, how can I become the best version of me? For me, not for everybody else, but it trickles down to everybody else. Everybody else will be like, oh, wow, like such and such then came a long way. You ever heard somebody say that? You probably heard people say it about you. Like, man, you came a long way, man. Like, and sometimes it's just that, you know, you gotta put that confidence in yourself. You know, it's okay to be, we keep using the word different, which is true, but unique is another word I like to say. You know, be unique and be uniquely you all the way, fully.
And not so different to where you're kind of like almost where you stand out, right? Like, just, you know,
sounded like a sore thumb.
Like a sore thumb, yeah. So be strange, be unique. You know, don't go off the rails with anything, but being the underdog, being the black sheep of the family, being somebody who is overlooked, it's not always a bad thing. It's about using that stuff as ammunition against other things and not against yourself.
And what do they say? They say it's better to be loved for who you are, or hated for who you are, instead of being loved for who you aren't.
Yeah. So
just be you, man. You'll whoever's really rocking with you, you'll know for sure, because you know, they're not rocking with you because of your popularity or because of what you can do and all this. Just be you, and everything will work out.
There's nothing better in life than being loved for just who you are.
Facts.